Sometimes when you turn on the news or even look at social media, you'll find people talking about investing or the stock markets. And we're kind of, I think, all familiar with that. You put some money in, you invest something, there's a certain rate of return on your investment. And eventually, hopefully, what you put in goes up and grows. Today, Jesus demonstrates something about the economics, not of, we could say, capitalism, but the economics of the kingdom of God. In the gospel today, there are 5,000 men plus women and children, all hungry, all needing to be fed. And Jesus takes what we could say is the investment of a couple of his followers. 5 loaves and 2 fish. And Jesus takes their generosity. He takes what they give and he multiplies it. Today's gospel then is all about how we use the gifts that we have been given. In today's gospel, it looks like there's just one meal going on. But in fact, today's gospel speaks about another meal. Today's gospel talks about how we use what we have been given for the benefit of others. At the very start of this gospel, you may have noticed, Jesus is informed that Herod has killed John the Baptist. Now, this happened also in the context of a meal, just a few verses before Jesus multiplies the loaves. Herod is having a big gala, and it is at that gala that ultimately he decides to put John the Baptist to death. But what a very different kind of meal Herod is having. Herod has this incredible wealth, but he is not sharing it with other people. He has just a few people close to him who are enjoying themselves. Ultimately, it is a banquet that is about greed, about selfishness, about not sharing, and it goes so far even to lead to the murder of John the Baptist. Now, Matthew has very purposely told about this banquet, this meal with Herod, just before what Jesus is about to do. Jesus, after this story about the selfishness, the lack of generosity of Herod, his malice, Jesus talks about the incredible generosity of Jesus. In the gospel today, Jesus is fulfilling what the prophet Isaiah speaks about. The prophet Isaiah speaks about how God is preparing a banquet for all people to come and to eat without cost. Of course, this banquet could refer to literal food, but is referring to more than this. The grace, the goodness, the life that God is giving to people. In the gospel today, Jesus is fulfilling this. He provides food for an incredibly large amount of people. Jesus generously provides for the needs of this crowd. The important lesson, of course, that we see in this gospel is that, yes, Jesus is going to provide for the needs of those people. But here, of course, is the catch. Jesus depends on our generosity in order for this miracle to happen. Jesus doesn't just kind of make fish and bread appear out of nowhere. He requests people to give, to be generous, and he takes this generosity and he multiplies it. Jesus then continues to show his care for people in the world, but through us, his followers. When I was studying in Rome, there was a chapel that I used to visit from time to time to pray. And at this chapel, at the kind of the wall of the chapel, there was a crucifix. And over time, this crucifix had kind of gone through some earthquake or something. And in the process of this, the arms of Jesus had broken off and they were lost. And this community decided to continue to have that crucifix on the wall because for them, this crucifix spoke an important lesson. Jesus had no arms on that cross, but the community would explain it that Jesus' arms now are the church. You and I, all the baptized. Jesus continues to serve those around him through us. And this was the lesson that the community wanted to convey to its members there in that church by having that crucifix on the wall. This is the lesson we find in the gospel today. Jesus will assist those around him, but he relies on us to be generous with what we have. And when we are, Jesus multiplies it to assist those around us. Today's gospel then really is an important lesson about stewardship. Stewardship is, of course, this fancy word in which we say we want to be good stewards, good caretakers of what we have been given. And oftentimes we talk about stewardship in terms of time, talent, and treasure, the 3 T's. Time, talent, and treasure. We've all been given different groupings of these 3 T's, and we are called to use them, to give them to Jesus so that Jesus can multiply them. Imagine for a moment if those people who had those 5 loaves and 2 fish did not come forward and give them to Jesus. What would have happened? To go back to the economics, what would have been their return on investment? Certainly, they would have maybe had a good meal together, or maybe even they wouldn't have even eaten that bread. It might have gone to waste. But instead, when they brought it to Jesus, Jesus multiplies it. He takes just 2 fish and 5 loaves and feeds an incredible multitude. The same too goes for us in our life when we are good stewards with our gifts, when we are generous. Here, of course, we can talk about financial contributions. When people give to charities or the church, God blesses that. But more than this too, we can talk about time. I think we all know friends, I certainly have some myself, who always make that time to reach out, to check in, to wish a happy birthday or anniversary. Taking that time to pick up the phone, to go visit someone in need is a great thing that we can do. Time is something we've been given by God. We want to use that time to be generous with it to serve others. Of course, we can talk as well about talents, the gifts, the capacities that we have been given. When we use it at the service of others, Jesus can bring about so much good. In our parish bulletin, you'll probably see almost every week we have some announcement about some ministry. Could be a liturgical ministry, music ministry, reading. We've been reading about our prep program, our catechism program for children, or RCIA. So many different ministries with so many different volunteers. If we were to go through and maybe write them out, we're looking at hundreds. Some people volunteer in our parish, some people in the broader community. But this work has an incredible impact. Jesus takes what we give, whether it's our time, talents, and treasures, Jesus takes it and he multiplies it and he makes it a benefit for those around us. Today's gospel then is an invitation to generosity. It is a reminder for us of how the economics of the kingdom of God work. In God's kingdom, when we are generous with what we have been given, whether it be our time, our talents, or treasures, when we're generous with that with others, Jesus takes it, he multiplies it, he makes it a blessing not just for ourselves, but also for those around us. Just like to conclude with some parting words for Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa was great for kind of quippy one-liners. And when Mother Teresa would talk about the needs that were around her, it could be maybe a friend who is lonely, who needs someone to talk to. It could be someone who needs to be served. It could be some need that needs to be met by the community. Mother Teresa would always say, "Let me be the one." So she would say, if someone is in need, needs a phone call, let me be the one to pick up that phone and call. If we know that someone needs assistance with moving or at work or a word of encouragement, let me be the one to do that. Let us all be that one who use the good gifts we have been given by God to give to Jesus at the service of others so he can multiply and bless those around us.